Hello again. So I'm going to go ahead and bring my comic into Photoshop. But first, I got to bring it into preview. I'm using a Mac, by the way, but you can do this in any way to bring it into your scanning program, get into basically any software that you would use to edit and add text. So I'm just going to show you what I use since I have a Mac, and I'm going to go ahead and use Photoshop CC. So alright, there is my scan. So that was pretty easy. I think what I'm going to do is crop it down to the size that I want, which is this small little size here. And then we're going to come up here to the edit button and crop. Alright, so I'm just going to save this first to, I guess I'll put it in my downloads for now. And this is the potato comic. And we're going to make it a PNG. Alright, so now it should be in my downloads, and there it is, potatocomic.png. Cool! Alrighty, so now I'm going to pull up Photoshop, which is right here, Photoshop 2020. So let's go ahead and pull this up from my downloads folder, which is here. Drop it in to Photoshop. Beautiful. Okay, so now we have basically the image that I drew earlier, and we have some issues like down here. We got some artifacts kind of from what I had inked. We have some pencil marks. We got the blue still sticking around. So I want to go ahead and clean this up a little bit. First, I think the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust the levels so that we're going to get rid of the things we don't need. So we're going to bring out that black contrast, the black pen contrast here. Black versus white here. Yeah, so it's really nice and bright. Might not want to go too far with it. And as you can see, I'm pretty sure a lot of this blue has kind of started to disappear. It's a little bit hard. I probably should have zoomed in a little bit more, but you can see now that it's a little cleaner. You still see the blue here, and I'd like to get rid of that. There's also a little bit of eraser dust hanging out right here. That's unfortunate. Okay, so we can clean that up little by little here. So I'm going to go ahead, see. There should be a way to get rid of those blue lines with no problem. You could also auto contrast. It doesn't really change much. You know, I'm trying to remember now how I did this. I don't think I've ever used paper like this where there's leftover blue lines like that. What I'm thinking is to replace, there we go, replace color. Okay, we're getting rid of the saturation. We want it to be, woo! Okay, yeah, that's what we're talking about. Look at that! Replace color. That's what we need. So now, Well, the only area that is still kind of blue hanging out is underneath this screen tone, which is something that's a little bit difficult for me to fix, so I'm just going to leave it alone. It's just not necessary. Of course, I also forgot to fix this area too, but you get the idea, right? So I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit where, for example, we can paint over some of this gunk over here with white. Kind of get that cleaned up. Get this cleaned up here. And I also want, if I hold down shift, I can, oh geez, that's not what I want to do. I thought I was, yes. Only issue with this is I need different kind of brush. We need general brushes. Hard round. Sounds good to me. Okay. We're just going to go right above where, okay, that's too close. Zoom in a bit. And you can, of course, see my leftover pencil lines, so that would be something else I'd like to get rid of. So first I'm going to hold down where I want to get started, hold the shift key, get rid of it. Pretty simple, and I mean, it doesn't look perfect, but would you even notice from this, you know, from where I zoomed out? I mean, I wouldn't, if you're going to make it quite small. So normally these end up being small when they're published, so I'll go ahead and just do the whole line like that. There we go. Kind of makes it a little less organic, but meh. Oops. Yeah, that's why you click first, then hold the shift key. And then for this area here where I drew in the potato, I'm just gonna kind of get rid of that stuff, get rid of it. There's also a little bit of, oh geez, again, artifact here from the blue, which I got rid of there. Just kind of do a little bit. Get rid of those pencil lines. And it's interesting how this area ended up turning out to be a little bit fuzzy. I'm not sure why that happened, but I'd like it to be, oops. I'd like it to be a little bit flatter in color. Also, you can see here we got some leftovers from my pencil lines. This one is definitely the most organic looking, just because I had to do all of the work to get the screen tones to kind of fit in here. And technically what I could do is I go to this color here and kind of paint it in. Oops. A little bit too big of a brush for this. I could also grab this spot here and paint inside so that it doesn't look so strange. Stick within that. I mean, it removes that screen tone element that I was going for. It makes it look almost too clean, perhaps, but I also think it's a little bit distracting. So let's also go to our color wheel again and grab a little bit of a different gray. This looks a little bit too different. I want it to be, maybe a better choice would be to smudge it up. There, that's better. It looks a little bit less wonky, perhaps. And then of course we got to get rid of this bottom area here where I went over the lines. Okay. Now there's a little bit of artifacting going on here with that blue that's sticking around, but it's not too bad. Not too bad. Alright, that looks pretty decent to me. Where you can still see the lines and the screen tones clearly. I mean, I'm definitely not doing this at professional grade, but I mean, I'm pretty happy with it. And I mean, maybe this area here, I probably definitely should have done some more erasing. I can see where I missed some spots. Ooh, shoot, that's not what I'm looking for. Get that kind of matching up in color. Otherwise, it's just a little bit of shading almost. As long as it's not too distracting, it's fine. So, alright, so you have the idea, right? So now we're going to go ahead and fill in our text. Okay. Potato. And since I'm doing this bilingually, I'm going to add the Japanese below. I think I'm also going to go for a font that matches, I can use both languages in, so I'm going to use Kozuka for that, I believe. Yeah, let's do Kozuka and bold. We're also going to make the Japanese a little bit smaller since it's kind of, it feels bigger to me. Alright, so the way I had this is I wrote the English on the top. Of course, I'm also, for some reason, again, at 2 point, which is not what I want. Though 10 point is also quite big on this canvas. I don't know, this is kind of a weird conversation we're having. Maybe I'm going to change the conversation to something else because it's kind of weird. I'm also going to switch languages because weird things are happening. Alright. Let's see, what's something that we would have talked about? Like, weather talk is pretty simple. I'm trying to think of something that would be a big difference to talking about what a potato is. It's not a very interesting topic, I guess, to talk about, but I mean, we were at the gym after all. Alright, change to Japanese. The shape of this speech bubble is a little bit difficult to work with. Maybe if we do it this way. . Now it's just really tiny. 5.5. That's better. Oh! You know what I just realized? I put a speech bubble here, but I didn't have one in the original. Huh. I'm just gonna put ... There you go. I look really angry though. I don't think it's not really anger, it's more just like Alright, that looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. I mean, it's rather simple. I'm going to go ahead and put my name at the bottom here, so... Alrighty, so I'm going to go ahead and save this as the final. And you should be able to see it on the screen now. Alright, let's save it as Potato Comic Final. PNG. Yes. Alright, and that's how I made my potato comic. So I hope you were able to learn a little bit from my process, and if you happen to be able to get a hold of some of these things, whether you have a Daiso in your area or you can even make it on your own with any sort of paper, I'd love to see what you can do with it. So see you next time. Bye.